With the start of fall camp just about 10 days away, what's up with the lack of buzz around Carolina football right now? We discuss on this latest Daily Drop. What's up, guys? I'm Jacob Turner here for another Daily Drop at TarHeelIllustrated.com. And I think this was going to be a fun topic. Before we dive into it, though, I want you guys to hit the subscribe button below. Hit the notification bell, too, so you know every single time we upload. Fall camp starting, like I just mentioned earlier in this video, on July 29th. We'll obviously have a ton of interviews and press conferences after practice and all that kind of jazz starting up then. So if you want to get notifications when those videos go up, along with our podcast, along with our drops that we'll be doing, make sure you hit the subscribe button. It takes 1 second. Helps us out a lot, helps our channel grow. And obviously, if you're watching our content on a relatively consistent basis, I'm assuming you probably want our channel to do well and you want to support what we do. Also, guys, we put a link in the description a few weeks ago. A lot of people haven't noticed it, but if you want a direct and easy way to support the channel and support our website, besides just becoming a premium subscriber at TarHeelIllustrated.com, which you can do for $8.33 a month, link in the description below. You can also shoot us a Venmo now at TarHeelIllustrated. Says it in the description, but all the money that you guys donate goes directly into paying staff and growing the website and the channel. So if maybe you don't want to pay on a monthly basis, but maybe you just want to send a little gift, a little thank you for the content we put out, shoot us a Venmo at Tar Heel Illustrated. Again, all that's most appreciated. Definitely don't have to, but we appreciate all that stuff regardless. All right, guys, that's the housekeeping items out of the way. Let's talk a little Carolina football. Like I mentioned, July 29th, start of fall camp. I said spring ball. Come on, Jake. July 28th, reporting day. So obviously starting the day after that is the practice. That'll be an evening practice for the Tar Heels. So it feels like I did a drop a couple weeks ago now, probably maybe 3 weeks ago now. I can't remember how long it's been, where I was kind of discussing what are realistic expectations for Carolina football this season. Go watch it if you haven't already. I'm not going to go in depth on that. But in that video, I talked a little bit about the lack of maybe a buzz around the program right now. The lack of excitement around the program right now and why that may be. I believe I discussed it in another drop too. All these drops we've been doing are getting wrapped up. I may have discussed this in a completely separate drop too. The reason for why, I know what it was. It's all coming back to me now. I did another drop previously talking about why kind of Carolina going onto the radar a little bit might be a good thing for the Tar Heels, and also discuss why it is and could be a bad thing going into the season. So this drop, I really want to explore, why is there a lack of buzz around the football program for me? Because I've been to Tar Heel Illustrated for 5 years. I've been going to Carolina games, my dad's been a season ticket holder for 15 plus years, I believe now. I've been going to games since I was a kid. So I've been in the media for 5 years, but I've been around Carolina football. I've been watching games since I can remember. I've been going to games since, again, I was, really, really young, 28 now. So, about, 12, 13 when we got season tickets, was going to games before that too, but not every single home game and some away games. But in the 5 years I've been doing in the media, I think, I came in an interesting time because my first full season of covering Carolina, first game I ever covered was Larry Fedora's last year, Western Carolina game, Javonte Williams breakout game. You guys probably remember that. So my first full season covering the Tar Heels, really being, entrenched in it as a media professional. It was about less than 6 months after I graduated from App State with a journalism degree, was the Mac Brown 2.0 first season. So there was obviously a buzz around that. And there was buzzes around the seasons after that. First year is always some excitement. Sam Howell, the second year, Carolina having a really good year that year, a lot of excitement there. And then after that is kind of when things maybe started going in the wrong direction, for a lack of a better word. And I'm not going to go through the seasons like I did in that previous drop. It's not worth it. But what I want to focus on is the last 2 seasons. And I discussed this in the drop too, the previous one I did. That's really where the lack of, I think, excitement, and I think optimism is probably a good word too, really stems from. Is you can go back 3 years to the Sam Howell's last season when Carolina really, really struggled. Tough season, culminated in it opened with a bad loss in Virginia Tech where Carolina just could never do anything offensively, and ended with just a dismal performance against South Carolina in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. But then the last 2 years, we've kind of seen The same thing happened twice. So you might be like, well, Jake, what do you mean by that? Diehard Carolina fans will know, but if you don't, I'll explain it to you. 9-1, go back 2 years, 9-1. Drake May's first year is a starter. Carolina goes up to Wake Forest, wins the Coastal Division. Okay. What do they finish that year? 9-5. Lose 4 straight. Tough losses. Stayed at home. Georgia Tech at home. Never should have lost that game. ACC championship game. Didn't even show up against Clemson. Just completely different programs, completely different teams on the field. It was never a game. I was on the sidelines for that one. It was never a game. And then good performance against Oregon in the bowl game. Some people missing, but a loss is a loss, still lost. Still 4 straight losses to end the season. Okay, so what happened last year? I think we all remember. Carolina starts off the year, 6-0? Finishes 8-5? With Drake May last year at the helm. First round draft pick. A defense that was improved to start the year and then just injuries played a little bit of a part, but I'm not going to blame it all on injuries because it wasn't the case. And they fall off a cliff and they lose what will they go the rest of the year? 3-5? 6-0? No, excuse me. 2-5. 6-0 to 8-5. It's not great. So you've got 2 seasons in a row where Carolina started the year very promising, very well, climbed in the rankings, and then falls off a cliff. I mean, it's very interesting to look at. It's very interesting, and we've tried to analyze it. We tried to figure out why and where's this coming from, and why is this continuing to be a theme over the last 2 seasons. And again, you can go back 3 seasons. It wasn't the type of season where Carolina just fell off a cliff. They just never really got going. So why is that happening? And again, last season culminates in something I've talked about before, just the worst performance I've seen in the Mac Brown 2.0 era. I was on the sidelines for the game at NC State. And I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. It's no dig on anybody personally. It has nothing to do with that. This is just what I saw. And to me, my eyes did not lie in this situation because I've been so up close and personal to so many of these Mac Brown 2.0 games where Carolina did play really well, where Carolina did play with a lot of energy, where Carolina did fly around the field and look enthusiastic, where Carolina did smack teams in the mouth. Exact opposite of State. All of last year and the way that the season ended, 2-5, 3 straight losses to end the year. And it culminates before the bowl game, obviously, which half the team didn't play in. A loss at NC State in which Carolina just didn't show up, man. 39-20, blown out. Never a game, really. Carolina just never really looked like they were in it. So that's the last, and I think this is I say all this to say that is the last time that a Carolina fan has seen. I'm not counting the West Virginia bowl game because, again, half the team didn't play. Especially, the great players, the Tez Walkers, the Cedric Grays, the Drake Mays. They didn't even participate in this game because of opting out, NFL draft, and all that stuff. The last time that Carolina fans really saw a full-strength Carolina squad, it was a game in which they just, I don't even want to say they didn't show up because I just didn't see a lot of effort. I mean, I guess it's a good way to put it, but I saw a team that had its head down after they got smacked in the mouth early and never recovered from it and just didn't look like they wanted to compete anymore. So a lot of Carolina fans have that taste in their mouths still. They still feel that. They still can taste that. They can go back and say, well, we ended the year again really badly, but we lose to our rivals in NC State again. And not only do we lose to them, but we don't even really look like we cared about the result. It just, it is what it is. Maybe we'll regroup next season. Once they lost to Virginia last year, a lot of people say that was the beginning of the end. For me, no, that was the end. Who did Carolina beat after that? Who did Carolina beat after losing to Virginia? Campbell. Duke at home. OT. Drake May carried that team. 47-45. That's not great. That was the beginning of the end. Or excuse me, that wasn't the beginning of the end. The loss to Virginia really was the end. Carolina never really recovered from that. So, again, I say all this to say that I completely understand the lack of enthusiasm around the team. I completely understand the lack of excitement about fall camp. Now I will preface it with this. There's a natural cycle here. The diehard Carolina football fans will come back around once fall camp starts. They'll start believing again. Once fall camp kicks into gear, a couple weeks into it, you start getting those press conferences rolling out. You start seeing some highlights. You start hearing some things on the boards. Excitement will start to build a little bit. There's reasons to be excited. I believe it. Chip Lindsey in his second year at OC. New quarterback coming in. Again, I know there's question marks around the quarterback right now, but you're going to have a new face there. Somewhat exciting to see how that guy does, and whoever it may be. Will be multiple guys. We'll see. Jeff Collins coming in DC. A lot of guys loving him. But I'm going to say this, and this is my position. I know I've talked to a lot of Carolina fans. I know they have the same position with that I have with the defense. Until I see an improved defense, a drastically improved defense, I'm not buying into the hype. I can't do it. I like Jeff Collins as a hire. I like his track record as a defensive coordinator. I really do. But until I witness Carolina have a great defense, this is coming from a guy who's been going to Carolina football games for 15 plus years. I'm not going to believe it. And again, that's no knock on anybody. It's just you have to understand where a lot of fans, and I'm not speaking as a fan here, but the fans watching this and the fans that are going to be season ticket holders, the guys are going to be in the stands, the guys are going to away games. There'll be people at Minnesota. Those people who really, really care about Carolina football. You have to understand why there's a lack of belief in this defense ever being great again or being really good again. I've really never seen a great defense in my time at Carolina. You got to go back to 2009, 2008. We all know how that ended. So, there are other reasons to be excited. I don't want to end this on a negative note. I want to try to, I understand it and I get it and I don't blame anybody. I completely understand it. Completely understand. I've had so many conversations with Carolina, inside and outside of my family. I completely understand why there's a real lack of belief and a lack of excitement around this team because of all these new parts, because you don't have a all-star, all-American quarterback back there that Carolina's fans have been used to the last few years, because there's no confidence in the defense turning around, because the last 2 to 3 seasons have gone the way they have. Carolina fans have been burnt in the last couple of years where they start to believe and they start to buy in and they start to see the progress and they start to see wins and they start to see that, okay, maybe this ship is getting turned around finally. And then it just all comes to a crashing, disastrous halt, where seasons in on really, really bad notes. And you can't keep doing that. You can't. Mac Brown knows that. Come on, guys. Players know that. But you have to understand, and I'm speaking to you guys, and I'm trying to put myself in y'all's shoes. From your perspective, what reason is there to really believe that things are going to get it turned around when you look at the question marks coming into the season? One thing I've talked about too is we don't really know how good the O-line is going to be. A lot of new faces down there. How do we know that they're going to be better than they were last year? Zero reason to believe that. And they weren't great last year. Let's not forget about that. They were good at times, but they weren't great. D-line, same questions. Same questions we've had in the 5 years under Mac. Again, not trying to take a dig at anybody. It just is. We don't know how good the defensive line is going to be because we haven't seen a good defensive line here in the Mac Brown 2.0 era, really. I mean, you have to go back to his first season, really? We've seen it in glimpses. We saw it at times early last year. South Carolina game. Really nice performance from the defensive line. Really, really promising. And they showed signs in that when the Carolina started the year 6-0. But they couldn't sustain it, and they fell off a cliff just like the defense did as the year went on. 45 points at home to Duke. 39 on the road to State. 31 on the road to Clemson. 46 on the road to Georgia Tech. I mean, guys, come on now. I mean, I get it. That's why there's a lack of excitement around the program and this new season in particular. It's up to the team to turn around. It's up to the program to turn around. That's why coaches get paid the big bucks. Got to find ways to win. And you have to find ways to sustain success as the season goes on. If you want to get Carolina fans back on board, you have to find a way to have a good defense. If you want to get Carolina fans believing and back on board. Carolina, I think I speak for everybody right now. I don't think anybody's sitting here expecting Carolina to go 11-1 this year. And if you go 10-2, I'm not going to be happy. I think Carolina fans just want to see progress. I think Carolina fans just want to see growth. I think Carolina fans just want to see a good defense from game 1 to game 12 or 13, depending on the bowl game. Heck, even 14, depending on how the season goes. They want to see consistent, sustained progress in key areas, in key positions, on units, on groups. And they just haven't seen that yet. So it's hard to get hype again, especially when you don't have that All-American quarterback. You got a great running back on Omarion Hampton, arguably the best running back in college football. Fans are excited about that. But there's too many question marks in every other area, especially at the most key position on the team, to really sit here and be like, man, I think we can win 10, 11 games. We heard that discussion last year. To me, that's not a realistic discussion this year. I think you can make an easy case from anywhere from 5 to 8 wins. My opinion. You might disagree. 5 to 9 if you really were feeling really, really optimistic, but I don't think a lot of people are. But I'm in it on this. I get it. I understand it, and I don't blame you. But Omarion Hampton, be excited about him. Jeff Collins, new defensive coordinator. Trust me, I said it again. I've said it once. I'm going to say it again. Until I see it, until you guys see it, I know you're not going to believe it. But there are reasons to be excited and optimistic going into fall camp and going into the season because you've got a guy there with that track record who looks like he should and could. I think is the best shot for Carolina to get this defense turned around. If Collins can't do it, I don't really know where Carolina goes from there. I really don't. Because you're not going to go out there and get the best defensive coordinator in the country. You're just not going to do it. So, but I think Collins has the track record to turn it around. So there's reasons to at least be optimistic about that. Got some really nice returning parts on defense too. What can some of these incoming younger guys do? Can Max Johnson step up at quarterback and be the guy? He's done some nice things at A&M where he's been before. He started in the SEC. There's intangibles there. Is Connor Harrell the guy? Is Jacoby Criswell the guy? We've seen glimpses out of Harrell in the bowl game last year and other times. Spring game. He looks like he's got talent. Can he do something? Jacoby Criswell, wild card coming in. What is he like? Haven't seen him in a couple years. Hasn't started college football. What is he like now? Can he take over there? Can he be the guy? Something to look forward to and something to kind of be excited about seeing how it plays out. Want to end this on a positive note. There are reasons to be excited. There are reasons to be optimistic. There are reasons to get the juices flowing again before the start of fall camp and not just, 2 days before the first game at Minnesota. There are reasons to get going again. I know people will get amped up. It always happens. There are true Carolina fans out there who, when them lights come on, and when that season gets close, and when that ball gets kicked at Minnesota, they'll be right back in it. But I get it, and I understand why frustrations and lack of excitement is there right now. It's probably the least excited and optimistic I've seen the Carolina fan base in Mac Brown 2.0. It's not rock bottom. It ain't Larry Fedora. And no disrespect to Larry, but them last couple of years were dismal. But it's not great right now. And the team and the program, I believe, from your guys' perspective, has to prove to you that, you know what? Last 2 years were a blip. Last 3 years were a blip. We got this shit back on track. And we're headed in the right direction again. But that can only be proven where? In between the lines on that field. We'll see what happens. I've been Jacob Turner. Another edition of our Daily Drop series. Appreciate you guys watching as always. Make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe. Hit the notification bell too. Rolling these out a lot. And again, guys, it's a great time to sign up. $8.33 a month. Links in the description below. Get access to our premium message boards, premium content. You have to be signed up to see it. Also, access to our awesome community as well, where you can interact with Carolina fans. You can be a Carolina insider too, guys. $8.33 a month, less than a drive-through meal. Price has not changed in about 10 years. Come sign up. Come support. Shoot us a Venmo as well if you want. If you just want to throw a little support and show a little thanks for the content that we work hard to put out at Tar Heel Illustrated, you can do that as well. Thanks, guys, and see you on the next one.